days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. With the support of our success group, we're taking flight. The power is strong, the vision's so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Hello, small business rock stars. I'm going to start a little music here so we get moving. I know both Kylene and I could use a little extra energy today.
Yes.
There, we'll have that playing. All right. Welcome into Small Business Saturdays. My name's Aaron. This is my amazing wife, Kylene. Today, we are going to talk about the fundamental formula, really kind of go back through. So we just wrapped up a 10-week series. And we want to go back through those weeks, kind of hit some of the highlights, talk to you about how those kind of mix together a little bit. And but let's get that energy going. I promise when we start talking, we will get this turned off when we were getting into the meat of it here. But little movement, little dancing. Kylene just doing a little bit of head shaking apparently.
I can't do it too much.
Kylene dance?
Pass out.
All right. Well, while we're kind of getting moving here, if you guys could take a moment and just share this with your network, let people know to tune in here. We are actually back live. We were recorded for 2 weeks there. So great to be back live with you guys. And we want to get more people in here because the more people we have, the better our perspective is going to be. So definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. So Kylene, over to you.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you guys here. If you are joining us, drop a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from and what your business is all about.
It's just on loop, you guys. It kind of fades off there at the end. You gotta come back to it. So don't forget to hit the like button if you're YouTube or wherever. Again, share this with your fellow entrepreneurs and make sure that you are subscribed over at our YouTube channel, which is liveosg.com. So, all right, last time through on the music, we feeling like we got a little energy here, Kylene? You feeling some energy?
I think so. Yeah, it's helping.
All right, we'll bring it down. Yeah. So, Kylene and I just wrapped up. Kylene, for the most part, I was barely support, but just wrapped up a garage sale that we were working on later into the evening last night, and then had to be up bright and early to catch all the early birds there this morning. So with that, so all right. So
early.
We good?
We're doing good. Yeah.
We're good. We got energy to get us through this. Let's take a deep breath, everybody. All right. Happy Saturday. So, Kylene, what's your intention for the show today? What are you hoping people take out of this?
Well, we're going to recap the last 10 weeks that we have been sharing a little bit about how you can really, I don't know the correct word to use right now. I have a brain fart, but basically to accelerate your business and really find that true connection again. So I hope as we go through and kind of recap each week that you find that spark again and realize that this is something worth doing for you and your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And just, I think when we see it all together, so we'll talk about this. When we see it all together, for me, it feels like it starts making more sense, right? Why do I need to put a little extra time into working on my business, right? Like people are going, hey, I'm already overwhelmed. I already barely have time to, feel like I can even think, let alone spend extra time working on my business. But the reality is the opposite of that is true. You don't have time not to work on your business, because when you start doing that, you have more clarity, you have more confidence, you get your time back, and we can breathe again, right? The folks that I've been able to work with, we kind of give them that opportunity to see what their purpose is, what their reason is, and really kind of feel that. You literally can see them go, like they take a big breath in, like, oh, I can breathe, right? And so that's when you think about the fundamental formula, that's the whole point, right? We want to give people that breath of life that they need back in them. That sometimes the common mindset can suck right out of us. So we'll
most
talk.
definitely.
Yeah, so I want folks to type in the comments. Just obviously want to say hello, and we've got Rena checking in. Hello, Rena. Good to see you. But what would you like to learn today? What is your intention? You're spending some time with us here on this, depending on where you're at. It's kind of nice here. It's a little bit warmer than normal for a late September here in St. Louis, but we've got some sunshine. We got a little bit of a breeze. So gorgeous here. I wasn't trying to give the weather report, but I wanted you guys to tell us, hey, you're spending some time with us here on Saturday. What would you like to get from this time together? And, there doesn't have to necessarily be anything about the topic. You got questions? That's what we want to do. The whole point is supporting each other as small business owners. And, we got some, if you got a little extra time on Saturday, then let's make that valuable for you. So, again, Kylene, I guess, I don't know if you asked me or not, but normally I just speak anyways, so you can't stop me, right?
Oh boy.
I don't know what my intention was, but
I was getting there.
Oh, you were getting there. Okay, I talked over you then. So finish your thought then. I apologize.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I appreciate you saying how, I just hope people realize the power of taking the time to invest in your why and getting clear and all of that other good stuff. It's like when you're not, it feels like a big heavy weight. And so like you were saying, a big breath of fresh air, once you kind of have that clarity and systems and all the things in place, that foundation, it's really powerful. So then I was going to say, Aaron, how about you?
And then I just started talking. All good.
Yeah.
We say this every week. You're like, I kind of apologize for getting kind of rolling, I guess. And you're like, oh, you're passionate about it. I'm like, yeah, I am actually. But
you
Mo,
are.
thank
And
you
I
so
want to.
much.
Oh, was I talking over you? Sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Hey, Mo.
I hope they catch up with this internet. Even though you're upstairs, we're like so out of sync right now. It's almost painful.
If I need to come down to say it.
No, you're good. Just step in though, Kylene. Okay. Don't slow down. All right. All right. So I just wanted to say hello to Mo, and you were finishing your thought, Kylene. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just, I don't even remember, but I was going to say hi, Mo.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, my intention is I kind of already shared it a little bit, but I think my hope is that when you guys see it all together here and kind of in this rolling, there's a reason why we did these 10 weeks the way that we did them. So they're not necessarily directly in order of the fundamentals. So the fundamentals, for those that aren't familiar, this is the book that I wrote with, Kylene is a co-author actually, but I think this was what was in my brain. So the fundamentals of business success, there are 3 sections: the plant, the prepare, the pollinate. And inside of that, there are 13 fundamentals. And yes, you could go 1 through 13 and really kind of do it that way. But when we start kind of pulling these things out, it's definitely a cycle. So when we put this 10-week program together, it was based on what we call the fundamental formula, which is what we share with folks when we have our in-person events, which is what I work from when I work with one-on-one consulting clients. And it will also be what's part of a new program coming soon, where we're going to do some group work, master classes, some group work, and kind of mini masterminds a little bit, but not like a Masters of Success mastermind for those that are familiar with that. Yada yada yada. There's this fundamental formula that we utilize to help change the outcomes. So it's the structure that we put in place so we can have the growth that we want. So that's what I want to share with folks today. So Kylene, I know there's 10 and I've already been speaking quite a bit. So can we just dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, I am going to probably go, and I know that we're off sync a little bit because the internet's not the best, but you do just have to jump in and talk over me. I don't care. Okay. All right. Let's because because otherwise I
Yes.
will just talk for the entire time, and that's not what people are here for. They want your insight too. So episode number 1 of this 10-week series, Kylene, was about discovering our why, right? This is the core
Mhm.
foundational piece. Now, if you're looking at the fundamentals, fundamental number 1 is empower yourself. That's take 100% responsibility. But I think getting to this core, this clarifying your reason or discovering your why, your purpose. So why is that so important, Kylene?
I mean, it gives you that roadmap of why you're doing everything you're doing. Why do you wake up and have this business when you are truly connected to what and understand why you are doing what you're doing? Your message is clear. Your connection to it is so much greater that it's really living in your passion. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're sharing your gifts, and you truly understand the things to say yes to and the things that you should say no to as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's really a good point, Kylene. It gives us that decision-making guardrail, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges that small business owners have is you wear all the hats, right? Therefore, you're in charge of all the decisions, right? You and I know this, right? We get to the end of the day sometimes and it's time to figure out, well, what's for dinner? And we're both pretty like, wow, we had to make a lot of decisions already. Do I really need to figure out what's for dinner? Right. And so it becomes overwhelming if we don't have that guardrail to go back to. And sometimes when we get away from our why, right, like even you and I feel that way, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
we forgot, right? Like what's the purpose of what we are doing? And then that makes your decisions a lot easier. If it,
Mm-hmm.
if it's in alignment with my reason, say yes. If it's not in alignment with my reason, even if it seems like a good idea, even if some guru is saying you've got to, go dance on TikTok, or you got to 10x your business by yelling as loud as you can at everybody you can find, right? Like, okay, but does that align with who you are, why you do it, and things like that? So
Mm-hmm.
we actually use what we're calling the SVPs: your strengths, your values, and your passions. And that's not going to give us exactly the mission statement, so to speak, the reason statement, but that's going to give us, I almost consider it like a word map, Kylene. You've got some of
Mm-hmm.
the words there, you're seeing the patterns, and
Yep.
our reason and our why, it is really hard to put in the language. I mean, has that been the experience for you?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It was really difficult for me before we really had this like formula, if you will, to go
Yeah,
through it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, because I could feel it inside, but when I heard it, it didn't really truly connect
yeah,
with me, right? So then I would
yeah.
keep going, and then I'm like, no, that doesn't quite feel right. But when you have this formula, it kind of guides you through the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, for sure. And so even with the SVPs though, you get that feeling, and that's really what
Yep.
it is. It's a feeling. Like, again, we're using it to make decisions based on it, trying to make sure that we're in alignment with it, that type of thing. And so it really is more of a feeling. And so it's kind of that yes or no gauge, right? And so even with just really kind of identifying those SVPs and kind of seeing the patterns in there, then we can take it to that next step and start putting some language to it. The part about putting some language to it is really more about, okay, now I can put that out into the world and then attract the right kind of people with it. It's not
Yep.
necessarily for us. I mean, it is, right? Like when I hear people say their reason after they've been able to discover it together with us, like, again, the breath, the confidence, the
Yeah.
shoulders come up, the eye contact. I mean, it's even on video, it's incredible how much you can just almost feel it through the camera. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And so again, that so when we talked about that in week 1, we talked about what it did for your headspace. I think we've covered that pretty
Yeah.
well. We also talked about how to identify that. So I talked about the SVPs. Anything else that you can recall that we need to kind of just highlight real quick in this rundown
Yeah,
recap?
I mean, kind of like the wellness part of it, when you're not in alignment, your body creates more stress, more negative emotions inside of it, and we feel that internal conflict. So that's why it's really important to kind of know why you're doing what you're doing, so you are in the right place. So doing the things to really connect with your why, and so you can not have those negative physical sensations throughout your body, because it will come out, you know, inside of you, but it'll also maybe show up in your relationships and your wellness, financial, all those different areas of your life. It can show up when you're really out of alignment. So it's important to know your why.
100%. Awesome. Okay. Well, I brought up the SVPs, Kylene. Before we get on to the second episode, I did want to throw this out there. Curious for anybody that's tuned in live right now, or if you're watching the replay, go ahead and put it in the replay. How do you feel about that, right? Do you feel like you have a clear reason that you started your business, a clear reason that you do the things you do every day, a clear reason to get up and do it again, so to speak, right? And so I'm curious about that for you guys. I also mentioned the SVPs. I would be more than happy to run through that with you guys. In fact, I'm actively out there looking for people that would like to kind of, I don't know, I'm looking at it as almost like an audit, right? So I'm not giving you more homework. I'm not like, I'm going to give you your time back, actually, if we can do this together. So if people want to go to osg.link/thank you, there's just a couple of questions that I'm going to ask you to fill out and do it the best you can. If you don't like, if it's like too much, just put like one word in there and then we'll discover it together. Once we get there, the more you can do up front, then the further we can go in the time that we'll have together. Because I try to do the first call like about 30 minutes or so. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer if you've got time. But just kind of, it's more of an exploratory, it's more of an audit to kind of see where you're at. And then in that same call, we can kind of identify, is there a big area that's standing out to you right now that might be a roadblock or a challenge or something you could just use a little extra perspective on? And then if there is something that shows up and we're connected and feel like, you know, I can help you a little bit, then what we'll do is we'll schedule a second call to where we really do a coaching call together. And this second call would be exactly how I would work with a one-on-one consulting client, but we're going to do this together, just no charge, because I want you to have this effect, right? So you might just take something away with it and go, oh man, awesome, perfect, that's all I needed. And I'll go high five, and we'll move on. You might take something away from that and go, ooh, that felt good. I need more of that, right? Give me some more of that, right? And then we can talk about what might be right for you together. And so no pressure. I think you guys are pretty familiar with me if you've watched Small Business Saturday for any length of time. I never claim to nor want to be a good salesperson. It's not my thing. And therefore, I just like to connect with people and fulfill my purpose and reason. And whatever grows from that. And I am in love with whatever grows from that. So Kylene, does that sound about right? Cover?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you guys would be crazy not to take advantage of that offer, because that is Aaron's zone of greatness. He is able to like look at things and create patterns and pull out what's actually there. It's really, really helpful.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, we've been going at this for almost 20 minutes now, Kylene. So we're going to have to turn up the pace here a little bit for the rest of it. But I think it's okay. I think obviously, like we said, the core foundational piece is that reason, is that your why, right? Like, there's a lot of different things that people call it. And that's fine, by the way. We like to call it the reason at our success group, because we also have this saying that our reasons have to be bigger than our excuses. And so that's why we landed on reasons. But you know, you want to call it your why, you want to call it your mission, whatever is right for you is right for you. So, all right. The second episode of this 10-part series, Kylene, was about empowering yourself for business success. And if you remember, I mentioned that we kind of went out of order a little bit. Well, now we got back to fundamental number 1 here. And we really just kind of talked about what empowerment meant, strategies, ways that we could do it. So what was the mindset there that we kind of touched on, Kylene?
So it's taking 100% responsibility for the outcomes that you have in your life and your business. And it's a hard 100%, you know, acting as if you are responsible for everything that happens to you in your business. And what that's doing is giving you that power back so you can make the choice to make a different or have a different action moving forward. If you're learning, if you're not getting the outcomes that you want, that's how you grow, is you take responsibility instead of blaming other people or other things for why you're not getting your outcomes.
Yeah. if you were standing here next to me and we could do it, I would give people a little visual of how this might look for us. So picture it this way. I'm trying to get somewhere, right in front of me. I'm trying to get somewhere, but between me and that thing I'm trying to get to is Kylene, and she's got her hand on my head and is holding me there, right? And at that point, right? So now, if all I'm doing is saying, well, Kylene's got to be it's Kylene's fault that I can't get there. It's Kylene won't let go of my forehead, right? All right. So if that's my decision, then the only way I get to where I'm going is when Kylene decides that I can go there. Right now, like you just said, I gave away all of my power, and I'm reliant on Kylene, somebody else besides myself, to get there. Right. But the same thing could happen, and I can make a decision to go, okay, well, how did I create, promote, or allow this? Why is Kylene grabbing my head to begin with? Right? Did I say something mean? Did I, right? Like what did I do to create this? Probably said something mean that I didn't mean. So, no, not true. But so, then from there, now I can start taking back my control. I can say, hey, Kylene, please let go. What can I do to get you to let go? Or I can, right? Or I can choose to fight, right? I can go whack, smack your arm out of the way and get there, right? So now I have the control back because I chose to take 100% responsibility for my outcome. So does that analogy work?
Oh yeah, it's huge, and another option would be, okay, maybe you take a different route. Maybe it's a little bit longer, but you're still in control. It's still a different outcome. You're going to get to your end goal. So that analogy is perfect for it.
Yeah. And so just a couple other quick things that we hit there, Kylene. We talked about what we could do to kind of start changing that mindset. And we looked at can't versus won't, right? When we say I can't do something, then again, we've given our power away. We've said, we've decided that we can't. But when we say I won't, I choose not to. Okay. Now I've made a choice, and in the future I can make a different choice. Right?
Most definitely.
So that, and then can you just real quickly explain, or wherever it lands for you, it doesn't have to be real quickly, but explain to people the 5% more responsibility.
Yeah. So when we look at our life and the different ways we want to improve and grow and develop, to do all things all of a sudden, it's probably not going to have the success that you want to see. So if you just look at different areas of your life and the areas that you want to grow and develop, 5% more responsibility. What could you do? That's 5% more. That's achievable. And then you create that habit, and then you do 5% more. So for example, if reading something important to you every night is something that you need to be doing to keep reading the fundamentals of business success every night or every morning, maybe you wake up 10 minutes early so you have that time. Is 10 minutes going to really disturb your sleep? Or maybe it's 5 minutes. That's 5% more responsibility. You have that control. It's making it achievable is really what it's doing. So you have that power. You're still moving forward.
Yeah. Rena says 5% is totally achievable, right? Absolutely. And I think that's the trick. So if you're sitting there, so Rena says 5% is totally achievable. Maybe I'm sitting there going, well, Rena's a rock star. I don't know. 5% might still be a lot for me, right? Again, that could be, and that's totally fine. And so whatever it is for you, whatever you believe that you can do, 1%, 0.5%, as long as you're taking some part back and saying, okay, what can I do just a little bit differently that will get me closer to where I want to go, or just get me to a place, a better space in my business, a better space with my family, but whatever that is for you, that's the really cool part about the fundamentals of business success is we can actually implement these things in our entire life. A lot of them are translations that Kylene and I were able to take from Jack Canfield's success principles and other tools and resources that we look at on a bigger picture. Just do it. I've heard that saying somewhere. Yeah, just be careful though, Rena. They might no. Just kidding. All right. So that was that was session number 2. No,
Yeah.
yeah, that was session
Yep.
number 2. Session number 3. Okay, I think we'll get there. I'm just trying to look at the time and
Yeah,
make
we'll
sure
get
that
there.
we're rolling.
If not, we'll
Session
just
number
have to be continued.
to be continued. That's fine. So session number 3 was about trusting yourself in business. And we
Mhm.
really did just talk about the importance of self-trust. This concept of fake it till you make it. Unfortunately, it's very well-meaning. I get where people are coming from, right? We understand the point, but it can actually act in completely the opposite way of the way you want it to. In fact, last Wednesday on Rising Tide Talks, we talked about this idea of a challenge of putting yourself out there and then crashing and burning and it going badly, and you actually put yourself out there less. Right.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
this same idea happens when it comes to fake it till you make it, because you're telling yourself that I am faking this. I'm a fraud. I'm an imposter. And then guess what shows up, right? What's that called, Kylene?
Yeah, that's the results you get. That's the law of
It's called
attraction. That's what.
Yeah, it's called imposter
Imposter.
syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if you're still kind of wigging out up there or not hearing me
A little bit,
clearly.
not
So-
too bad, but
Okay, all right. Looks a little blurry on this side, so we're all good. So that's kind of the idea in trusting yourself, right? Because the opposite of fake it till you make it, and it seems very similar, but it's actually the opposite, is to believe it until you achieve it, right?
Yep.
And call it faith, call it, I mean, that's ultimately what it is, right? God's asking us to trust him. That's faith, right? Same thing happens for our business. We need to trust that the things are going to work out, right? And yeah, it's hard to do that every day. I get it. But the reality is, the more we can lean into saying, yep, okay, that's a challenge, but I will overcome it. And it's about changing that internal language that we use. And the more intentional you get with that, I know for me, Kylene, and I think for you too, we've been more intentional about that. And not only does that help because we start recognizing it more and we start changing our patterns, but it also helps us identify it in other people. And then we hold each other accountable. Go, oh, there's can't, or you're shooting on yourself, right? These kinds of ideas. So,
and once you really start to think about those things, I mean, you do hear it in other people right away. And so, it's so powerful. If you go into faking it mindset, you already believe that you can't do it. So it's just not going to come across as genuine as it could if you really just flip the story that you're telling yourself.
Absolutely.
With that.
Yeah. And then, so the rest of that episode, we talked quite extensively about creating affirmations and how that works and the benefits and all that stuff. So you can go back and check that one out and see what that might do for you. If you need any help with that, certainly please reach out to either Kylene or I, and we'd love to help you with that. Affirmations have been a total mindset changer for both of us, I believe. So, all right. Episode number 4, the 4th week, we talked about conquering fear, right? And fear is, and I've heard people say it different ways. The best way to say it is fantasized experience appearing real. Right? Like, think about that. That's an acronym for fear. Everything we fear, I'm going to use air quotes here, everything we fear is just a figment of our imagination, right? So, Kylene, you have a fear of what?
Snakes.
Okay. So
we talked about it last night too, right?
Yeah, we did. We did talk about it last night. I asked you, have you ever in person seen a snake jump or kind of snap at you in person?
And I said no.
Right? Yeah. But so tell us about that, right? And again, it does Kylene no good to work on getting over her fear of snakes. Like, she's not trying to be a snake handler, so who cares? Leave that. Yeah. But we use that because it's something that's pretty aggressive with you, right? And I have the same aggressive
physical response.
Yeah, I have that same aggressive fear of needles that Kylene does to snakes. So we could talk about that, but I'm asking you, Kylene. So let's talk about snakes. So why is that a fantasized experience appearing real?
Well, because I really think that all snakes, if I'm out, I'm going to disturb them and they're going to bite me. I mean,
Okay.
So running, when I go running on my trails, now that it's fall and there's leaves on the ground, that is like another level of anxiety that I work through when I'm running. It's so silly. But it's fantasized. Snakes really are not coming at me. I don't hear anyone else. Snakes are coming and attacking them. So I understand it is definitely fantasized.
Sure. But the point I'm trying to make here, Kylene, is your reality you just had a birthday yesterday. Your reality in the time that you've been on this earth has never been that a snake will bite you.
No.
Correct? Okay. So you've never been bitten by a snake. Okay.
No.
So, and again, there's no reason for Kylene to go work on this unless it's keeping her from running, right? So maybe that's a reason to work on this. But the point here is that your entire experience so far on this earth has been that not having a snake bite you, but yet you've managed to have this fear, right? Same thing with me and needles, right? There's no reason for me to have this fear. I've just manifested that over time. So the point of telling all this, though, is the same thing happens in our business, right? I know I need to do this thing, but I get so hung up on it, right? And then I don't do it. And then I go, oh man, I don't know why my business is not successful. Right. But you really do deep down in your heart, you're just avoiding it because you've got that fear. So if we start reframing that fear as I found that anytime I have something that I'm afraid of in my business, it means less of a stop sign. Hey, don't do that. Turn and go the other way, which is what I did for most of my life. Now I understand that means, hey, yield, slow down, think this through. This is important. Let's put our best foot forward here. And it gives us that opportunity to show up as our best self, right? So it's a yield sign. And then from there, now we can take that fear and utilize it because it gives us an opportunity to slow down and look at things a little bit differently, maybe even chunk it down a little bit more. Maybe the fear is you're thinking about that you have to go from, never doing a live video to all of a sudden, oh, there's this 21-day challenge where I have to go live with my face on video for 21 days in a row. And you'll never get there. I mean, maybe you will, but it will never be sustainable. You're going to feel nauseous the entire time. And by the time you're done, you're just going to go, oh, God, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
Right. So lean into it, right? Oh, well, maybe the first video is I'm not with my face on the screen. Maybe I'm showing something that I'm doing or and then, oh man, I do have to put my face on screen. Well, maybe I'm going to have a video that I do with my husband, Kylene's case, right? And now you're 2 times a week at least on live video.
Yeah, 2
but
times.
That didn't happen overnight, right?
Well, no, and it took you a few months to get me to even agree to the first step. But that's truly how you overcome your fear, right? You take those, like you said, you chunk it down, and that's what we talked about. And you survive that risk, right? You build that confidence, and then you can keep moving forward. My favorite quote is, everything you want is on the other side of fear. And like Aaron was saying, with it being a yield sign, it is something that you need to look at. You need to recognize the feelings you're having. Am I truly in danger? Probably not. And then this is probably something I'm about to do that's really important. So it's outside my comfort zone.
Yeah. So maybe snakes are really your spirit animal, and you're just leaning into it. It's really important. No, I'm kidding. Not this guy. All right. Jerry says, I cannot do heights. An airplane is okay, but not a roller coaster. So Jerry, I would correct you then. You can do heights. It just has to be a specific kind of heights. If an airplane's okay, you've done heights. Right. So again, I'm not trying to get you to go ride on a roller coaster. Does that get you anywhere closer to having a successful life? Probably not. So if that's not the case, then don't worry about it. But I just want you to see that if you change your language, you can see a different perspective to this.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was which week? That was week number 4, right? Okay. Yeah. So then in week 5, we actually jumped all the way to fundamental number 13, and we started talking about the power of marginal gains.
Yeah.
And so, Kylene, can you explain to people what marginal gains mean?
You bet. So it's looking at the little wins every day, right? Every day you're getting, as long as you're doing the actions, you're getting more improvement. You're more
Mhm.
growth. You're getting closer to those goals that you've set for yourself. So it's really not being attached to that final result. It's
Yeah.
enjoying the journey as you go through it.
Yeah. I love that. Perfect. Perfect explanation. Jerry says, Kylene looks like a natural now. At first, she may have been nervous, right? Absolutely. And you do look
Thanks,
like a natural.
Gary.
Yeah, that's very nice. So I think the biggest part about marginal gains, Kylene, and this is the hardest thing for most of us to let go of. I'll even raise my hand. I have to keep reminding myself of this, but marginal gains are really about focusing on the process, right? We're also results driven, right? To be an entrepreneur, you have to be a little bit driven, right? You have to have that results orientation, right? Like we have to believe it until we achieve it. So we have to
Yeah.
believe that there is a result out there that's going to make this a worthwhile endeavor, right? I'm not just trying to have a new job that pays me less and takes up all my time. I want to have a successful
Yeah.
small business. So I have to understand what the result is that I'm aiming for. But
Yeah.
what happens to us is we're just so focused on that, right? I opened my door, I started my business, and I'm not doing $1 million yet. What the heck? Right. So
Yeah.
but that's kind of what's going on in our mind, even though we don't really say that out loud. That's what our subconscious is saying when we're focused on that result. And so with marginal gains, it's about really focusing on the process, right? What are the daily habits that I can do? Kylene, you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
maybe you need to do a little bit more reading of books that can help you build a structure, right? Like the fundamentals of business success. And so maybe that daily habit that you create is, like you said, waking up 5-10 minutes early and just starting my morning with, okay, 5 pages, 10 pages, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's slow down to speed up. Sometimes it's, I'm going to wake up 10 minutes earlier so I can meditate and start my day in a better space. Maybe do a little prayer, a little devotional, whatever it is for you. That can be a marginal gain, right?
Yeah.
Because that, again, what's the process that you're going to use to get there? How can I do a little bit better each and every day, and then go from there? So, anything else on marginal gains before we jump to episode number 6?
No, no, I think that was pretty much it. It's a powerful one.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. All right. So in episode number 6, week number 6 of our 10-part series here that we just completed, we talked about goal getting, and
Mhm.
it's there. I know it's only one letter difference, but goal getting and goal setting are two completely different things. So when we become a goal getter, we do a couple things differently. The first thing that we do differently is we have a very specific goal, right? So a goal setter is kind of
Mhm.
like, I want to grow my business. A goal getter says, I will grow my business to X number of dollars, X number of customers, X number of impact, X number of fundraisers
Mhm.
that I've supported my community with, whatever that is for you, whatever your reason. So if we're trying to tie these all together, right? Our reason is going to tell us what our goal should be or could be. That would be
Yep.
an alignment, right? And so whatever that specific thing is, and then by when, right? So I'm going to grow my business. Okay, when and how and what, right? So it's, yeah, there you go, Jerry. This is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Perfect.
yep, very well said, Jerry. A goal setter is a wish list. A getter is a doer, right? And that's the big difference. And then, so that was one big difference. The second big
Mhm.
difference is focusing on one thing at a time, right? So a goal setter, oh, I got to do this. I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, right? Like we've got all sorts of things, and there's nothing wrong with having multiple goals, but a goal getter understands that they must prioritize those goals. So every day I need to work on the most important thing every day, right?
Yep.
Now, I can also in that same day work on another goal a little bit too, right? But what making the most important thing needs to be always where we come back to. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying, we're not saying that you have to have just one goal, one single goal, and right, like, but we want to be focused on one goal. So it's about prioritizing your goals list more so than anything. So does that make sense, Kylene?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it's huge, making the most important thing the most important thing. It doesn't mean the rest of your life stops just because you have this one important goal. It just means you've prioritized some time every day to work on it.
Yep. Hi, Chuck. Just want to say hi real quick.
Chuck.
Then the other difference between a goal setter and a goal getter is a goal setter sets these goals, maybe it's a New Year's resolution, like Jerry had talked about, it's kind of a wish list, but that's about as far as it goes. Like, nope, keeping that close to my chest. Nobody's going to know about it, because if somebody knows about it, then I actually have to do it. And if I don't do it, I'm going to be embarrassed or whatever. Or, oh my gosh, Aaron's too egotistical because he wants to, impact 1 million people, right? Like, whatever that fear is keeping you from sharing it with others. A goal getter understands that success is a team sport, and therefore I must share my goal often, right? Like, I'm very proud of this accomplishment. This is over 100,000 words. It kind of encapsulates everything. I love it, right? Like, that's how proud I am. I really love the book, and there's zero chance that I could have written that book on my own, right? From getting help with the cover, from getting help with figuring things out. Kylene wrote part of it, from getting feedback from people, from getting that encouragement, like, how's the book coming, right? So I had a very specific goal by the end of 2023, and the date that it went live on Amazon was December 30th, right? So yes, I had all the imposter syndrome. I had all the things that were trying to hold me back, but because I had shared it with you guys and with other people, I had that encouragement. I had that accountability. I had that ability to say, you know what? Yes, subconscious, you might be, having this negative self-talk right now, but I've got all these other people over here that are telling me you can do it. You got this. Come on, let's, what do you need help with, that type of thing. And it worked, right? It happened. So that's, and then the last big difference, Kylene, I'll let you explain, because this is what you taught me, this understanding of celebration. So you want to explain that to folks real quick?
Most definitely. Celebrating builds our confidence. It keeps us excited, because if we have these goals and we're making the most important thing, but we're still not at that end, we're not seeing the results, our big results that we want, we can get discouraged, and then we don't stick with it. We can kind of go off course. But if you celebrate every day, knowing that you have a little bit of growth, you did make that call to someone, whatever that might be. You did wake up early and read the book, or whatever it might be for you. But celebrating really just boosts our confidence in ourselves. Like, yes, I am doing this. I am a doer, and I am excited about my path and my growth.
Yeah. A doer, a getter is a doer. There you go. Love that. Okay. Thank you, Kylene. So that was Goal Getter. That was episode number 6. We're going to definitely cover the full hour today, guys, but I think we're going to get there, because we're going to kind of turn up the pace here just a little bit. If you guys have questions, please stop us along the way. But these are more recent, so hopefully you guys have that kind of ingrained a little bit, and then we can kind of break it down, because I want to get through this, because next week I want to talk about the fundamental formula in general, and what this uncommon mindset is really all about. So instead of making it a part 2 next week, let's get through this, Kylene. Sound like a plan?
Okay, we got it. We got it.
All right. So episode number 7 was understanding your business numbers. And this wasn't about saying, oh my gosh, you got to become an accountant and all that kind of stuff. It was saying there are some key crucial numbers that, as a business owner, even if you're not the one that's like managing the number per se, you have to have a handle on it. You have to understand it. And so those numbers to know are, how much does it cost you to be in business? What's your daily cost to just keep operating, right? And you can look at this in your life too, right? What's your daily cost and that kind of thing. Then the second part that is important when it comes to the financial side of your business is, what is your pricing strategy, right? And that's not as complicated as it sounds. It means, what's important to you when pricing, and what's important to your ideal customers when pricing.
Yeah.
Because pricing's not my cost is this, take a spreadsheet, multiply times this, right? Yes, you could do that. You could create a formula once you have a pricing strategy. But if you're just taking somebody else's formula, 3x this, 2x this, double for wholesale, right? Like these are all the bits of feedback that we get on the Facebook groups, very well meaning, but terrible ideas for you to just take and run with, right?
Yeah.
I don't mean to talk down to anybody if that's what you do. I'm certainly not. I've done it. Therefore, I saw how terrible it was for people when it didn't align with who they were and what they were trying to accomplish and how their business was unique to them. So find out what's unique to you, and then you can create a formula if you need one, right? And then that could look like 3x, 2x, double for this, right? Like that, none of those are wrong. It's got to be right for your business. So that's the second number, your pricing strategy. How are you going to improve your perceived value? What's important to your customers, that kind of thing. And then the last number is really about time. So it's not a financial number, but as a business owner, you're responsible for the time. And so how are you utilizing the time? So maybe your business is a side business and you only have X amount of time, right? Kylene, you've got a day job, right? So there's 168 hours in the week. You're giving minimum 40 hours to that day job, right? So your job as a business owner, as Rise, Shine, Smiles Chief Operating Officer, Chief Heart Officer, actually, excuse me, is to manage that other 128, 120-ish, depending on, because you got to drive to and from, that kind of thing. So what does that mean to you, Kylene, when you talk about, kind of understanding your time and managing your time number?
It means that you have to be very intentional with your time. And when you make, like we were just talking about, the most important thing, you can actually understand that, okay, I only have X amount of time here, and this is really important to me. So I need to make sure that I am efficient in this amount of time that I have to keep moving forward, because it's important to me. It's not just a feeling, because we can just feel like, yeah, it's okay. And I've done that. But when you actually have your numbers and understand what's, like Aaron was saying, unique to you, it's really eye-opening and powerful for you to make changes to set yourself up for success.
Love it. Okay. Yeah. So that was week 7. Week 8, we talked about streamlining your business processes. And this is not to say, everything's got to be like written down, standard operating procedure for how I get out of bed to how I get back into bed. If that's who you are, great, go for it. That's the more efficient you can be, the better. But really, a business owner, your responsibility is to try to make things repeatable, make things efficient, right? So in the episode, we won't get too deep into it, but we talked about the mentality of a race car pit crew, right? Where they have to go as fast as they possibly can, but get things right, because there's somebody's life on the line if that tire should fall off, right? But so how do they do that? They become efficient, right? It's kind of like a choreographed dance. And that's the way your business needs to look like. But here's the other thing to understand. I think a lot of us, at least me, and so maybe I'm just speaking for myself here, but maybe this is the way you've looked at it too. We think, oh, I've got to have a process for my production, right? But what are some other bottlenecks in your business, right? Does it take you forever to do a quote, for example? Or is it really difficult to do the sales process? Or like, it could be anything. Maybe it's ordering, maybe it's inventory management, maybe it's accounting, right? So anything that we can look at and make more efficient. And so we always suggest to just take what the biggest bottleneck is, and it doesn't have to be, in fact, let me rephrase that. Take what you think could be one of the biggest bottlenecks in your business and go through this streamlining your business process idea that we talked about. Go through that and hit 1, 2, 3 at most of those areas per year. Right. So, and then the part that, you really brought to the table, one of the bigger things that you brought to the table, you brought a lot to the table the entire time. Misspoke there. I apologize. But you talked a lot about balance too.
Yeah. Yeah.
What-
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like the word intentional comes to play, and we go through different seasons of our life, right? We're, especially as small business owners, a lot of times fourth quarter is like it's go time. But that doesn't mean you neglect all the other areas of your life. You still have to take care of yourself so you can show up the best version of yourself. You still have to be there for your family. So it's truly looking at different seasons of your life and being willing to communicate with the people that are in your circle of where you're at. And it might look a little different for this season, but it doesn't mean that you love them any less, for lack of better words. But it's truly looking at yourself as a whole person and understanding that this is go time in this season, and I need to really take advantage of it. I've worked so hard all year long for this. I need to make sure that I'm there. But you can't just give up all the habits that you have put in place for you to be thriving. And so it's looking at the balance of all of that.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, you talked a little bit about people, so that's a great segue into week 9, where we talked about building strong relationships. And I already brought it up earlier on in Small Business Saturday today that success is a team sport. But we really reiterated that here. And the fact that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And looking at that, like kind of across the board too, right? So if you have whatever news channel on in the background all day, then the people speaking there is somebody you're spending a lot of time with, right? Or I'm constantly listening to this podcast or this, I spend all my day in a Facebook group that's full of drama, right? Like those could bring you down a little bit if you're not aware of that, right? Or on the flip side of that, okay, I'm engaging. I did the 21-day gratitude challenge and the Entrepreneur Success Hub Facebook group. I'm listening to Kylene all the time and really getting that calming vibe from her, right? And that kind of thing. Again, I'm just making stuff up here as we go along, but it's about developing those relationships and then you just said it, Kylene, being very intentional about that. So anything else on that before we hit the last week here?
Just, it's nurturing those relationships too. That's if they are important and they are people that are helping, it's a mutual relationship and it's a positive relationship. Nurture them, appreciate them as much as you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, then last week, just as a side, so the last week and the week before, I didn't really forgot about, but I'm like, I had to go back and look at some of the notes because we'd actually recorded those like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Right. So, so you guys heard it last week, but Kylene and I, so the week 10 was about craving feedback. And inside of that, we just talked about the difference between, being open to feedback or kind of accepting feedback and actually craving feedback and why that was important. The mindset of kind of hug your haters, right? Like there's a book actually by a gentleman named Jay Bear called Hug Your Haters. And I love that concept because we want the feedback. This didn't work, right? I just did not that I had haters, so let me be real clear on that, but I just did a webinar last Thursday and I didn't have a lot of success with it. I didn't have a lot of people show up to it. And I was like, gosh, and so normally I would just be like all mad, upset and go, I'm never doing it again. Well, instead I went and I said, okay, I need to get feedback. So I emailed all the people that had signed up that didn't show up. And as I got feedback back from them, right, I realized, oh, shoot, I had screwed up. I didn't actually send them the confirmation email. Then when they went to go back to the page where they signed up at, I had a countdown timer that took them to a different page that hit at the wrong time. Right. So I would have never have known that if I would have just been like, la, 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 I don't want to hear any feedback. But now I know that. So next time, okay, here's the mistake I made here. Error, challenge, opportunity, right? You got to look at it differently. And so accepting that and kind of going from there, accepting and then implementing the feedback is also crucial. So anything else there? We actually had a lot of fun on that episode, if I recall, kind of going through some typical ways that we might take feedback, right? Like getting mad at somebody. Like I said, la, 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 I don't want to hear feedback. You remember some of the other ones? I think there was at least 2 others.
Yeah, I don't really remember them right now. But
Giving up was another one.
And hiding or getting argumentative, I think was the other one. Is that where the blaming
exactly.
comes back to that? But really, we can all get positive feedback. We all know the people that'll just tell us sometimes what we want to hear, right? But sometimes we do need to get that constructive feedback from people to really truly know how to move forward and keep growing and developing. So craving it is important.
100%. Yeah. Rena says, I totally thought it was me. No, I appreciate you commenting too on the page. That also helped me kind of dig in and figure it out. So hopefully you got the recorded link, and I will do it again in the future. So if you prefer to do the live version so you can get in and ask questions and dig into it, that's totally fine, Rena. Or just reach out to me and we'll have a call together and we'll just go through it. So thank you, Rena. All right, Kylene, that was it. 10 weeks, right? Wow.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it in 56 minutes, and I had a couple soapbox moments. So perfect.
Congratulations. You did great.
Yeah, thank you. So did you.
Yeah.
So did you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's fun to recap actually, because sometimes you forget some parts, and how it all kind of fits together to really grow.
Yeah. And I hope that you guys, and so if you guys that are tuned in live right now, and maybe you were able to see most of this or kind of understand the whole kind of 10-week program there, does that make sense, right? Does that help with going, okay, I see the bigger picture now. I see why this could be worth my time to spend a little extra time working on my business as opposed to always in it. I'm hopeful that, that was my intention. I think that was kind of about your intention too, Kylene. And then we're not going to do our kind of standard close here. Not that we need to have a standard close, but we like to make sure that we hit a couple things, like make sure you go to osg.link and be part of the group. I think most people are tuned in live right now are part of the group, but just to go check it out, just to make sure. And can I ask people to do something here real quick for me, Kylene? I'm going to do it anyhow. Okay, go check to make sure that you're part of the group. And when you're in there, comment on a post, start your own post, get engaged. The more you can get engaged in spaces like that, we go back to developing those relationships, the better your business is going to be. The more I'm working with another group and I've been part of their program, and I've been heavily engaged over there, commenting. And not only does that really help me from a mindset perspective, but it also can actually help you from just a nuts and bolts perspective. So my LinkedIn engagement numbers have gone through the roof the moment I started being more engaged in this particular group, right? So your Facebook engagement numbers could go well. So anyhow, there's a lot of good reasons to be more engaged than you are. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But Kylene, what I wanted to do to kind of close things out, and we'll kind of jump right to the end after this, is I do want to talk a little bit about what next week's going to be like. So hopefully people can, make sure you share this with your friends so they show up and join us live. Because I think the more live people we have with us next Saturday, the better off we're going to be. You're going to be coming off of an in-person yoga session, so you're going to be in tip-top form. We'll have gotten sleep, and this is probably going to be one of our best. But we're going to go through this. I'm going to put up on screen the fundamental formula, and we just kind of went through it in a 10-week thing. I want to help kind of translate this into a cycle, and then show a little bit about how we work with folks. So what our whole goal at our success group is to get you to a point where the very reason that you started your business in the first place is what helps you find an uncommon mindset. It's what helps you rebuild things in a way that are very useful for you. So our goal is always to help encourage you to spend a little extra time working on your business. And just to clarify for folks, Kylene, and I know you know this, but everybody else make sure they understand, we're only asking for 15% of your time for working on your business. That's a very small number when you look at your overall time that you spend in your business. So, and as I said, we can do that in a lot of different ways, through mastermind groups, one-on-one sessions, maybe even planned events, things like that. And so ultimately, when you start working on your business, your passion for it comes back. And when your passion comes back, you're having more fun. And when you're having more fun, you're more successful. And you really just like, you pop out of bed in the morning going, I love this. I can't wait. Right. I feel that most days, and I want to share that feeling with you guys. And Kylene, I know you feel that most days, right? And even days that you're going to work, right, you still are thinking about, hey, how can I grow my business too? So the fundamental formula is really going to change all this. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, when we were talking about our reason, it does really start with our SVPs, those strengths, values, and passions. And then what we're doing is we've kind of built this structure and a little bit of a play on words here. So OSG is the acronym for our success group, but it's also the acronym for the way that we identify and help our partners grow. So when we look at somebody's SVPs, we kind of do an audit of that. And the rest of the audit is really about understanding what your current outcomes are, and then what your current structure. So you got outcomes, R-O, structure, S. When you look at those two things, and then you understand from there what the growth is, the G, that you're trying to achieve. And so then we take the SVPs and we look at them side by side and we say, okay, where do you want your outcomes to be? What's the structure? What needs to be changed for those outcomes to occur? And then what's the plan to implement that for growth?
Yeah.
Right? And again, going back to what I had shared earlier, if this is something that you're interested in, you can see it actually in the bottom of the little graphic there as well, but just do this. I don't care if I've had a call with you before, like, Kylene, explain, if you can help me explain this, right? How passionate I am about this. I'm going to just talk over myself otherwise.
No, I mean, this is your superpower. This is your ability, like I was saying at the beginning, to pull out the patterns, to see sometimes what we're so connected to that we can't see. We have blinders on, and to have someone else look at this and give you an outsider perspective and find the superpowers within what you're doing, it's huge. And Aaron truly wants to help others succeed. I mean, there's nothing else that I think he thinks about. He always thinks about what else can I learn that I can share with other people. So again, it would be worth your time to do that.
Yeah. So
I'm lucky I get it all the time, but
absolutely. So again, osg.link/thank you. Head over there right now. But Jerry, your comment here, thank you so much. I am the luckiest guy in the world to have such a great partner. I know, Jerry, you've got a great partner too. And so we're all lucky people, but I think, like you said, Kylene and I make a really great team. We kind of joke that I'm the preacher and she's the teacher. And so that's kind of our little joke. And Jerry says, yes, it does help. And I wanted to just talk about real quick, Kylene, this last part of Jerry's comment here. Sometimes I may feel that I comment too much on some things. I love that you're shaking your head, because that's first and foremost the answer. No. Anything that has to do with us, our success group, this community, I will tell you right now, you cannot overdo it. You cannot overshare. You cannot overcomment. You cannot participate too much. There's no such thing. That's not a possible thing. So first and foremost. Secondly, that feeling of we comment too much, or we're like, I had this experience. I was at this retreat for, like Kylene said, I'm working on trying to find ways that I can better help people. And I was at this business retreat, and it was one of the most incredible experiences that I had. But I had somebody tell me something that just blew my mind and has really been like mind explosion for me, because I was feeling that too, right? Like I think I said out loud to the group that sometimes I can be a little bit too much and doing too much. Well, I had somebody tell me that I needed to stop thinking things like that, whatever it took to stop thinking things like that, because then I'm holding myself back. I'm not being my true self. And for the believers that are listening in right now, what she told me was, you're basically, by doing that, saying I'm too much. I'm, trying to bring yourself down, who you are, like trying to tamp down your specific purpose and your gifts, that you're basically telling God that he screwed up, right? That he made a mistake, that's not the way you should be. So that just, I don't know, for some reason, Kylene, that linked that to me. So does that make sense to what we're talking about here? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so powerful. And so, if you feel like you're leaning into the comments and you ever have that thought that I'm, commenting too much or whatever, too much or something is different for you, just remember that's okay. Like, you're invested, you're passionate, you want to learn, you want to grow. And that's why you're putting yourself out there. We all have these unique gifts, and you were made that way for a reason. So let them out.
Absolutely.
Share, ask the questions.
Yeah. Love it, Jerry. Well, Jerry, thanks for helping us. We appreciate you very much as well. So high five. Boom. Kylene, high five to you too.
Boom. Did we do it?
I don't know. You were kind of whatever. All right. So
we have a delay.
Kylene, let's go and wrap this up. I just want to, until next time, you guys just stay motivated, stay focused. Don't forget to celebrate a win each day. As we just talked about, what we're going to talk about next week. Not only are we going to talk about that fundamentals formula more as a cycle, but I do want to start introducing some concepts about an uncommon mindset. Our reason at our success group is to cultivate an uncommon mindset. And I really do feel like the common, quote unquote, common mindset that we're installed with can be what's actually holding us back. So if we start cultivating an uncommon mindset, just looking at things a little bit differently, how powerful that can be. So we're going to talk about that quite a bit next week. And back here Saturday, noon Central Time. So make sure that you're a part of that. If you feel like you've engaged too much, make that second comment, actually. All right. So get in there, comment in the Facebook group. Every time you comment, you don't know whether you are or not, but I can guarantee you're helping somebody else. Okay. So believe in yourself, and we will see you guys next Saturday.
Yep. We believe in you. Stay positive. Find something to be grateful for in your life and appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Dark days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we